Hey yo, what's up? You know what it is? It's the one and the only Professor L live in the LAB. I'd like to welcome you guys back to another installment of Triple the Guy Speaks On. And yo, this is a rush order. I need y'all in y'all seats, like right now. Grab your lab coats, make sure you are nice and spiffy. Make sure you don't touch anything you can break. And make sure you are sterile and clean, because guys, we's about to get dirty in a way that you couldn't imagine or believe. Because yo, Kamen Rider Build, Episode 7, The Devil Scientist. I get it, okay? I understand that we need to advance this story, but this was a little much for me, and I mean a little much for me as to process and then regurgitate back to you guys as we do what we do every week, as we gather and I talk and listen. There was just a lot going on here. Is that... yeah, the no duh other day. Yes, Gentoku is Night Rogue. I'm just like, you know what? That transformation was swag. He sat up her backed, sat up her shot the steam, sat up her transforming the Night Rogue. I was like, the swagger, because it's like that whole little scene between Gentoku and Bloodstalk. That was nuts. Bloodstalk sitting up her like, man, I don't take orders, sir. I do what I want to do. You sure about that, partner? Backed. Sat up here, shot the stage, got up in his grill. Sat up here like, you got any other questions, Playboy? No, sir. No, sir. Man, whatever you need, sir. Whatever you need. I'm just like, yo, that whole blow up was nuts. And I just wanted to open with that because that scene isn't like the thing we are orbiting around this episode, but it was the best part. It was the best part of the episode for me because number one, we no longer have that question that anybody with any sense could have picked up and knew that was the answer to the question we were asking of who is that. So here's where we are in that little mystery, right? I don't think that Noriaki is Bloodstalk because Bloodstalk is in the same room with both Gentoku as Night Rogue and Bloodstalk himself. This doesn't mean that at some point either you got somebody sitting that close to you, either he completely 102% down for the damn cause, or he ready to put a knife in your back the second he feels that it's necessary to put more than one knife in your back. So Noriaki is gonna be that guy to watch when we speak about Faust, because I'm waiting for that young boy to make a move, because he got a move to be made on the chessboard. It's just that, what move is it, and why does the move need to be made, if there's one to be made? Because it's like, if he completely 101, like, yo, Gentoku fam, dog, I ride or die for that, that's the click, that's one thing. But the way he be sitting up here and looking, it's either he reporting straight to somebody, either in one of the other Mishima Zabatsu sitting up here snitching all the secrets, or he completely down for the cause, or he ready to sit up here and take Faust into his own hands when it sets up here and satisfies him, because it's something. It's like every time he next to Gentoku and he talking to Sento, or any time that they down in the cut and you just see him just sitting there stirring and chilling, he taking notes. And it's like, it's not hard to notice when a dude is sitting up here taking notes on your every single solitary move. So, like I said, we gonna be keeping a watch for him in the lab, dog, because I want to see what that cat gonna do. The rest of this episode was the fallout from what we learned. That Sento saw whoever will remain nameless in the stuff of who will remain nameless, and we talking about Katsuragi here because I'm just being dumb right now, is, let's just run it back non-stupid. The way that the timeline looks as of right now when we are speaking, Sento was the last person who saw Katsuragi alive because homeboy dropped him off at 9 o'clock. Ryuga didn't get there to 10. So, between 9 and 10, something happened. But given the rest of the episode, I want to throw a remix at you. Let me run this, because I want to bring like a lot of what this episode was together in my current thought and being. Is that the rest of this episode was they go over the over to Hokuto, go over there and go see Katsuragi's mama. Like, hey, Miss Katsuragi, what's up, Miss Lady? We didn't kill your son, but we might have an idea that you might have some information that might lead to who did it, and that led into a whole bunch of stuff. Here's what I honestly believe. I don't really think Gentoku and the Gray Squad would have went through all that trouble to making sure Sento and Ryuga didn't make it over there in the first place if it wasn't something to hide. Do you want to know what I think that something to hide is? Katsuragi isn't dead. They needed to fake his own death so that he could continue to run Faust in the shadows. I don't really think that Bloodstalk is Katsuragi, because he wouldn't sit up here giving that running them experiments and turning them into Smash was his idea. I don't really think that a guy like that, even though that in his life as we saw him, that he sat up here and was determined, willing to put in the work, willing to do whatever it took. I don't really think that's somebody that's going to sit up here and fall back to nobody. I don't, at the same time, with the hierarchy the way it is, I really think that in a situation like that, you have a lot of people who could be the man behind the chair who puts his feet on the table. Katsuragi could be that guy. Gentoku's daddy could be that dude. Anyone from the other two Mishima's Abatsus could be that person. Because see, the thing is that when it comes to Faust, we don't really know a lot about the hierarchy other than Gentoku is that guy. That's all we know. As Night Road, Gentoku is that guy. Is that in this episode, you had Sento asking Gentoku, hey man, yo, what happened to the boy, man? What's really good with my homie? He sat up here, was like, hey, he came to me like, yo, if we sit up here and we fart in their face, it turn them into monsters, and we should do this. Nah, man, that's not only rude, but we shouldn't do that. Don't do that. And it's like they sitting up here doing it, and he did it anyway. But see, the thing is that you have someone telling the story whose main idea and purpose is to tell you exactly what it is you need to hear, but nothing of what you actually need to know. So, how much of what Gentoku told Sento is an actual lie about what Katsuragi was doing, how Katsuragi ultimately met his end, is what the case is. Because right now, that is our mystery. Because again, just for the sake of the lab work we're doing, let's review the evidence that we have, right? Let's just play this as it is. Let's just review the evidence, right? Remember our timeline. Between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. that day, Sento, as Taro, at the time, went to go see Katsuragi. Sometime at 10 o'clock, Ryuga was sent there to find out what happened and found his dead body. A whole bunch of things could have happened. I'm like, there's a show called 60 Minutes, for God's sake. I'm like, we are part of the internet age where things happen like finger snaps. And I'm not sitting up here trying to make that metaphor a reference, but let's just think about this. In 60 minutes, anything can happen. For all we know, Taro could have been in that room for 5 minutes, got dragged away by the homeboys, and Katsuragi sit there in between then and there. Somebody could have killed him, and because it's like, there was more planning to this. Like, the more and more I try to discuss this and think about it, that there was a lot more planning to this than what it is. It's like, the thing is, framing Ryuga, that seems too neat. Getting Sento in the place where this will ultimately fall, where he becomes Kamen Rider Build, it's all too neat. That if you sit up here and you think about it for more than 2 seconds, it's a little too neat. But see, the thing is that someone investigating a crime isn't going to really think that far, because they don't have the evidence we have as people watching this TV show, because we right here with the characters. And part of why I do this is I want to solve this mystery, because this show has me so into what it's doing. Is I want to solve this mystery too, because I want to know. I'm like, usually when I watch rider shows, I'm usually interested in the plot and the action. This is me becoming a part of the plot in a way that past rider shows haven't done because it isn't revolving around this big giant question mark. Because usually we at this point, this is episode number 8, right? Think about the rider shows you've watched. There are not a lot of rider shows that keep too many questions on the table for too long. This show is a big giant question mark spouting out little question marks about question marks, and those little question marks are spouting out question marks. So we have a lot of questions. But see, here's the other problem. The big giant question mark that we are sitting up here and talking about, we have no idea what the question we're trying to answer is, because every time we find an answer, the question changes. At some point, we have to get to the center of what the question is. But the question is what the question is. And it's like, I love that. I love that, instead of this being like what Build ended up being when I was reviewing it last year, this fun little romp of trying to spoof the show, is that I love that I get to sit here every week and we get to sit up here and we get to play murder mystery. We get to sit up here as a group and sit up here and try to figure this out together. So again, going back to the point, remember, right now this show is a big giant question mark spouting out little question marks that spouting out little question marks. At this point, maybe to get focused before we wrap this up today, is what's our question? I have a couple. Is Katsuragi really dead? That's my question. Because again, sitting up here discussing the evidence with you guys, it's too neat. It's like, it was too neat even when it looked like Ryuga dipped. Because it's like, again, you get information, go to a place, you find a dead body. It's like Boys in the Hood. Hey, you want to see a dead body? Hey, there's a dead body over there. Ooh, dead body. No. It's too neat. Because here's just something that I just thought of the top of the dome, right? Something that was said earlier, that was said in this episode, about why Gentoku wants to create Kamen Riders. He wants to weaponize Kamen Riders to fight a war. What are you fighting a war against? I'm like, we went over to Hoto and they sitting up here, they living like throwback slaves over there. They like, we ain't got no food, we starving to death, bro. Like, our whole world is rock. And it's like, I don't really know, like, at this point, like, what is the point of gathering a military force when you sit up here and we'd have been to the other hoods and it don't really look like, on the surface, like, what would you need to fight a war for? It's like, Gray Squad got everything. Gray Squad got Pandora's box. They making smashes trying to weaponize Kamen Riders. But again, we don't really know anything else about what the other two Mishima Zaibatsus are actually doing. It's like, because unless this, I'm trying to find the words because I want to make sure that I say this right. Unless the story is about to go into some direction that states that Nazuta might move shop, or something gonna happen where we gotta sit up here and regroup somewhere else, when will this show get over to the other Mishima Zaibatsus and sit up here and try to establish like what's really good? We've seen what they look like. We've seen what it is, what it does. But I want to understand, and it's like, other than the fact of, why do you need to build an army? It's like, again, like I said, we've seen Hokuto and Sato. We've seen these places. Like, Sato is the projects, right? For real, like, if we gonna sit up here and we gonna put labels on things for the sake of putting labels on things, Sato is the projects, right? It's like everywhere is high rises full of people living in boxes. Hoto like old school, but they can't grow no crops or nothing. And they over there starving to death. Toto is, you know what I'm saying? We sitting up here in the spot chilling. You know what I'm saying? We got all the technology. We doing this and we doing that. It's like, I don't get it. I don't get what's Gentoku's aim here. It's like, unless he knows something that was told to him by his daddy, but we don't understand that. Y'all the ones with the power to create Kamen Riders. You've made yourself Night Rogue. You created Bloodstalk. You've done all this. You sat up her and you trying to sit up her and you trying to put you trying to push Ryuga and Zato to try to do these things, to try to push them into what? And that is your question. That is your question. It's like, I sat up here for a couple minutes. Is that, what are you trying to push Sento and Ryuga to? Because unless you were trying to sit up here, and it's like, again, if we sit up here and we think about the show at its base core, about what the motif is, it's about science, experimentation. That's why we in the LAB with this, right? I am sitting up here again, like, that's the question. Is, what do you need to build an army for? Now, unless you trying to build an army to start a war, I don't get it. So, I just don't get it at all. And that's just kind of like where I am right now. Is, again, big giant question marks, spouting out little question marks, which then indeed are spouting out little question marks. I understand and get why you got Gentoku, aka the one and the only Night Rogue, back to pushing Sento and Ryuga to try to push them forward, to do what needs to be done to try to evolve them as Kamen Riders, because it's something special about y'all. So you really got to sit up here and wonder, like, what the deal really is. You know what I'm saying? So, what is the question that we now have? I don't know. And you want to know what? I like that. I have no idea. I like that we've done this for almost 18 minutes and we reviewed this episode in full. I've sat up here trying to present the questions to try to, make clear this murder mystery. And I've got nothing. I've got nothing at all. And that's probably for the best. Really quickly, before we get up out of here, because, I don't want to hold y'all with questions. Shout out to Pandas. Panda. Shout out to Pandas. I'm like, I don't know, pandas and rockets go together. You learn something new every day. You learn something new every single day. Yeah, pandas and rockets. I'm not getting it. Like, you know what? I ain't even gonna be stupid. I don't know anything about pandas and rockets and why they go together, but I have to say, that fight was nuts. I do love the vortex finish of Rocket Panda though. He sat up here, hit in with a couple of them joints, hit him with them circles. Sat up here like, yo, the circumference of this uppercut, son. Like, why? I'm like, I think that's what I really do, like, secretly love about this show, is that the vortex finishes are all these mathematical problems. Like you sitting up here getting killed with math, son. I'm like, yo, what is you, number muncher, dog? You know what? I've been meaning to do that, like, for years on this channel. It's like place to show y'all what's really good with some number munchers, bro. Like, swear to God. Like, number munchers was my crack when I was in first grade, right? Like, yeah, because you know what? That'd have been about first, second grade, like when number munchers dropped. Yeah, because I remember playing it. I used to play like some other game. I used to have like this Muppets Choose Your Own Adventure thing. I used to play in kindergarten, but it is what it is with that. But regardless, number munchers. Like I wish SA was still on. Like, he need a form for number munchers, dog. Let's do this. Let's do this form for number munchers, bro. But yo, let's go ahead and get up out of here, yo. I'm like, For real. I'm like, I appreciate this show. I appreciate the opportunity to sit and spit on my own theories and stuff like that, because I love what this show does. I love that this show is a big giant question mark that I have no idea where to begin. But given the evidence and given where we are, is that this is gonna get good. It's like, but I say that every week, but it gets better every week, and it is yet to sit up here and yet not to do something. Go 0 to 60 real quick. All that old good stuff that you expect from your show that you love just work. It's just working. This show is indeedly that. So, for now, my children, class is dismissed. Get things in your cubby holes. Go ahead. Don't touch nothing you can't break. Make sure you're sterile. Go ahead and enjoy recess. We'll be back a little bit later with more of this work. Regardless of that, you know who it is. It's the one and the only, the triple the G.O.D, a.k.a. Professor L, live in the L.A.B. And I'd like to thank you for joining me for another installment of Triple the Guy Speaks On. And please, don't forget, the one and the only, the triple the G.O.D. And when I speak on it, and you know what that Kamen Rider build, you put that all in the bubble. You know what you get? Best match.